Jada, G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? Uh-oh, Richard.
No cry?
I'm not crying.
Yeah.
Hey guys, what's going on? So glad I could finally bring you this video here today, so thank you for your patience. I know it's been almost 2 weeks since the Oscars, but here we are, just trying to get down that video for the top 10 movies of 2021, so if you haven't checked that out already, I'm going to put it up here, put an annotation there or wherever it is, and please check that out. I implore you to. A lot of effort went into that video, and yeah, I got to it so I could get to this one. Because obviously I talked about the nominations, I have to talk about the winners here, and there's a lot to say. So I suppose let's just get the elephant out of the room right now. Big Dick Willie in The Ghost of Tupac. Look, when I was watching it there, everybody in the room, we were just shocked, and it was very uncomfortable, because first when he walked up on stage, I thought he was going to, like, oh, you know, like, mess around with him, like, pretend he was fighting him, because he was laughing, like, just a minute beforehand, which is the craziest part about all this. But obviously, I noticed Jada's reaction right from the get, and I said, uh-oh, she didn't like that joke. So, then, once he goes up and slaps him, I was like, wait a minute, what's going on? And then when they cut out the sound and looped the clip of Chris Rock, that's when I knew it was serious. And I was like, oh no, what is going on? And it was just... and then you saw Will Smith screaming, and you could see the anger in his eyes and in his face. And you're like, this dude's not playing around. And it was... like, the fact that he got Chris Rock to flummox on his words, like, Chris Rock isn't that great of an actor, okay? Like, that was happening. And anybody who's saying that is planned, you are full of crap. I do not understand how you can say that was staged at all. Oh my goodness, if you guys know anything about anything, you know that's not staged. But the thing is, you know, at first it was like, oh my goodness, like, oh, he shouldn't have said that comment or whatever, because, like, I looked up the whole thing about her hair condition, and I was like, oh man, he took it a little too far. But the more I sat with it, like, and Will Smith won the Oscar, obviously, and we'll get into that, and everyone gave him a standing ovation, and I thought it was funny, because, like, oh, he did that, and of course he won now. But, like, the more I sat with it throughout the week, I just found it to be morally reprehensible. Will Smith literally physically assaulted Chris Rock on national television, okay? And I know I'm not adding anything new to this. People have been talking about this for well over a week still. And that's the thing that sucks about it, because this is sort of a double-edged sword. Because, first off, I mean, it was the most predictable Oscars ever. But, on one hand, all of the wins, except maybe one I wasn't too keen on, they were all deserved at the very least. But when that slap happened, it made it that much more entertaining. Like, I'm not going to lie to you about that. But it also took away from everything else. I felt so bad for Questlove going up after that, you know, talking about Summer of Soul and his win for that. And I love Questlove. He's a really down-to-earth, really humble human being I can see. And just to have to follow that up is just so sad and really takes away from the art. And that's why the Oscars are there. To celebrate the arts. To celebrate the people who made movies last year. Not to be some kind of, like, you know, reality TV drama. You know, and that's the thing about it. Because the Oscars Code of Conduct, which they updated after the whole Harvey Weinstein and the Me Too era, when that was at its full force, they basically said, like, you can't physically assault someone. The thing about the Oscars and the Academy is kind of the air of respectability about it. There's a lot of class that goes into this event, and Will Smith sucked that out of the room completely. And yeah, I mean, not to say that people haven't done less than classy things at the Oscars before. Obviously, they gave Roman Polanski, a child rapist, a standing ovation. So, if anything, you know, that tells you a lot right there. But I also think that this is just unbelievable. And they did try to remove him. And I think Chris Rock telling the police not to remove Will Smith shows just how much of a bigger man he is. Because, yeah, people talking about this is him defending his wife's virtue. Absolutely not. This is Will Smith expressing his pent-up toxic frustration and insecurity. Really, it's just sickening that something like this could even happen. Because he was just butthurt, or at least his wife was, about this joke, and so he decided to act out. It's just terrible. And also, keep in mind, like, what does this mean for hecklers now? Does this mean a heckler can come up and slap a comedian on stage? Like, this opens so many can of worms. And look, I think Will Smith deserved the Oscar. I'm not even going to talk about him for the rest of this, so I'll just get out the way that I do think he deserved to win, even though Andrew Garfield and Benedict Cumberbatch are better. But even so, like, him resigning from the Academy, I think was the right step. But, like, this is going to be so hard for him to come back from. And you read all his PR statements. That's how it reads to me. It doesn't seem like a very genuine apology, more so like, let's save face. Because obviously Will Smith has contradicted himself by doing this than what he was saying in interviews. You know, I don't like violence leading to violence. I like to counter that with love. No, you don't. It's just, look, I mean, I'm not hating on the man. He made a mistake, but still, that doesn't make it any better, and it doesn't make him any less of a hypocrite. So I'm interested to see what the consequences will be. I mean, there's projects that have already been put on hold and canceled for Will Smith, as we've been learning in the past couple days. But, you know, maybe he can prove himself again. I love what Denzel said to him, you know, at your highest moment, that's when the devil will come for you. I think really profound words of wisdom from not only one of the greatest actors of all time, but one of the most humblest people in Hollywood. So really just, if him and Tyler Perry weren't there and Bradley Cooper, man, I don't know what would have happened. And Chris Rock, for that matter. Well, then it wouldn't have happened at all. But besides the point, I think it was absolutely terrible. But yet again, it made the show entertaining. So it's like, where do you draw the line in the sand? You know, it's so tough to say. But just on a pure human level, I think that slap was absolutely uncalled for and really put a dinge on just all the Oscar winners and the Oscars in general. Just absolutely terrible. So let's actually talk about the other winners here, because I think that, you know, I didn't go over all of them in my nominations video, so I'll run through them real quick. Winner for costume design, Cruella. I think that there were better costumes in West Side Story and so on and so forth. Dune. The Green Knight, which was shut out in every single category, obviously, because it's the A24 movie that came out in the summer. But I think that, you know, this is a movie about costume design, and it makes sense that it won. I don't think it's a bad choice at all. And yeah, good job on Cruella. And now for makeup and hairstyling, we have the winner, The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which was not aired during the Oscars because apparently the smaller categories don't mean crap to them. And also, I think the thing that is so crazy about that is the ceremony still ended up running longer than usual. So it was like, why cut him out in the first place? I think it was absolutely ludicrous of ABC. They need to get their head screwed on straight, because it was just absolutely ridiculous what happened with that, because it didn't really amount to anything and really just took away from a lot of the wins that, you know, would have premiered live. Yeah, they still showed them. It's like, what the hell was the point of it? Anyway, that's kind of my take on it. But I think Eyes of Tammy Faye was the front runner and the one that deserved to win the most. I mean, just look at Jessica Chastain in that movie. Completely disappears. And if it weren't for the makeup team, obviously she had a lot to do with it, as we will talk about. But I think that without that, you know, that movie wouldn't have worked as well. And Tammy Faye Baker was someone who, you know, I mean, you see the makeup, like, that was really part of her character in real life, too. So, yeah, I think it absolutely deserved to win in that category. And for film editing, another award that was not aired live, even though it's like the most essential award almost to filmmaking. So don't ask me, this is ludicrous. But Dune won. I don't even think the best film was nominated, which was West Side Story. And Tick Tick Boom, I think should have won out of what was there. But, you know, Dune is a incredibly well crafted film, as we will see. I mean, it won 6 technical nominations, including sound, which I also think it was the front runner for, and I don't think any other movie deserved to take that home. And obviously visual effects as well. I feel the same exact way about sound. If you remember it from my nominations video, I was saying the same thing. So yeah, I think Dune absolutely deserved to win in those categories. As well as an original score, which Hans Zimmer, it's the first Oscar he's won since The Lion King back in 1994. Everyone knew he was going to win, and it makes absolute sense once you hear that soundtrack, the soundscapes he creates for that. I mean, it just really completely envelops you in the film, in the world of Arrakis. And so yeah, I absolutely think that those wins were deserved. And speaking of which, it also won in production design, which, I mean, obviously the world building, as I said in my review for Dune, is just incredible. Even though I thought it was more of a visual thing, but honestly, yeah, they had to build some of those sets, and they're pretty incredible. So I think it's a fair choice. Though I like some other nominees, you know, like West Side Story and whatnot. But also cinematography, Greg Fraser, I said it in my Batman review, I said it in my Dune review. He's going to win. He did, and I think out of all the nominees there, it's the most deserved. I mean, every single shot of that movie is like a painting, and I think it was an absolute deserved win. And I'm glad to see this guy get the career boost from that, because he could even get nominated for the Batman next year, like I was saying, and I think he's one of the most talented cinematographers out there. So good on you, Greg Fraser. Really glad to see you take home that award on Oscar Sunday. And now for Best Animated Short Film, the winner went to The Window, or The Windshield Wiper. See, that shows you how much I care about it. Which I think is visually a stunning, stunning short. I don't really get the thesis of it. Like, I understand it, but I don't think it comes together 100%. And that's why I was really confused why that won over something like Arnman, you know, a very well-established studio, in their short Robin Robin. But, you know, whatever. I was just like, really? It wasn't the most upsetting Oscar win I've ever seen. It wasn't like, you know, Baby Driver not winning for editing, or Bohemian Rhapsody winning for editing. So I think that in some ways it's whatever. I mean, not many people watch the shorts anyway, and obviously the Russian one wasn't going to win because, you know, they're taking a toll for their country right now in that category. So yeah, I think that, you know, it's whatever. That was probably the one I cared the least about. But live action short, on the other hand, I didn't get to see all the nominees, but I did see the winner, The Long Goodbye, which is just such a powerful tale of Islamophobia, and, you know, in the UK, and obviously Academy Award winner now, Riz Ahmed. I mean, obviously nominated last year for Sound of Metal, and here he got a writing credit. Obviously, he's the star of this film. I think this film had a lot of star power going for it, and I think it's such a brutal and you know, surreal tale of racism, and I just think that it certainly leaves its mark, and I think that if you watch that film, it will stay with you. And I didn't get to see all of them, as I said, but I don't think this is a bad choice at all. I loved this short film, and nice to see Riz Ahmed finally win an Oscar for something. You know, if this guy keeps going, he might even win an acting Oscar one day. He's proven himself to be really that great, and so I'm really happy for Riz Ahmed. Good job. And for documentary short subject, we have The Queen of Basketball, which, yeah, I mean, I get why this won. Obviously, the subject, she had just passed recently, and really the first woman drafted in the NBA. That's a big deal. It's a very sweet documentary, and obviously, you know, it went over stuff like When We Were Bullies, which I just heard was like self-involved garbage. So, you know, it makes sense that this was the one to take home the win on Sunday. And I still want to see Lead Me Home and Audible, which I hear are pretty good. But Lucia Harris, I mean, I guess, overlooked basketball legend. Really, she was the first woman to score in the Olympics. It's pretty incredible what she was able to achieve in her time when at her professional heights. So really, I guess it was good to see that one win, though. There could have been more deserving nominees. I can't say I didn't really get to all these, but yeah, absolutely makes sense. And of course, for documentary feature, I already brought it up because it happened, that was when the slap occurred, but Summer of Soul, or When the Revolution Would Not Be Televised. This was a front runner right from the beginning. I think one of the better nominees in the category, though I did really love Attica. But what Questlove did here was really, really special, especially highlighting this festival. It took place during the same time as Woodstock and featured legends like Stevie Wonder, Nina Simone, Sly and the Family Stone, Gladys Knight and the Pips. I mean, it's just crazy how much happened here and how much it meant to such a specific group of people. And just the fact that it was unearthed after over 50 years, it's just awesome to see it finally come to fruition and have the attention that it deserves. And as I said, I love Questlove. Great drummer, great guy, so really happy to see him take the award, even though it was tainted by what came before it. So, good on you, man. And now on to Best International Feature for Japan, Drive My Car. I mean, was there really any doubt? Did you guys really think any other movie would win? I mean, yeah, Worst Person in the World was nominated for Screenplay, but I mean, come on. This was nominated for Best Picture. And I don't understand why people say, oh, something else could win. No, if the movie's nominated for Best Picture and no other movie in that category is, then it is going to win. That has always been the case, and that will always be the case. And maybe one day I'll eat my words, but I doubt it, because it has been 94 years, and every time this has happened, it has always been the one nominated for Best Picture. And honestly, I think the best choice in the category. As you know, it was one of my favorite films of 2021, and I think one of the most engaging, one of the most beautifully, emotionally resonant experiences I'd had in any film. And absolutely great to see Japan win the award once again. And for animated feature, we had Encanto. There was no surprise there. Everyone knew it was front runner. Though I thought Mitchell's and the Machine was just slightly better. Probably would have been my pick by a hair, but that's what I'm saying. It's by a hair. I mean, Encanto was really, really well made. I think one of the best Disney films in their whole canon. And obviously, we don't talk about Bruno's blowing up right now, which is crazy. It wasn't nominated for song, but I'll get into that shortly. But yeah, this is a really good choice. It's Disney, they got the backing behind them, they have the name, and also the culture there is what really pushes this movie forward as well, presenting a very natural sense of representation for these group of people. And yeah, I think a very enjoyable film and a poignant one at that. So it was a good choice to win the award. And for original song, I mean, there were no ifs, and, or buts about it. It was going to Billy and Phineas for No Time to Die. I think far and away the best song in this category, and just shows their range as musicians. And it's just so impressive how Billy ties in the personal narrative of her life and the narrative of Daniel Craig's Bond into this one song. I just think it's absolutely brilliant. The way they suspend the chord progression right before the chorus is just stuff of, legends right there. I mean, really shows you how innovative they are. And a siren is going off right outside my house, so that's great too. But, I mean, this category is usually the weak one. I mean, somehow you do that. Diane Warren song that Reba sang is the most generic song about empowerment. It is so bad. Well, it isn't terrible, but it's pretty bad, and I think it's like, why was that even nominated? Especially when We Don't Talk About Bruno wasn't even on the short list, which makes absolutely no sense. And obviously, Lin-Manuel got nominated for Dos Oruguitas, which was in there, and it was a really good song, one of the better ones. And also, I got to mention Van Morrison, Sir Van Morrison, Down to Joy was the only other song in the category I really loved. But even that, I mean, No Time to Die was far and away better than every single one of these. And I'm glad that this year it actually went to a song that was great, because it doesn't always happen. And yeah, so here we are once again. And yeah, great choice, and I'm just so glad to see, especially being such a fan of Billy and Phineas, to see them win an Academy Award together. Just so gratifying. They both absolutely deserve it, and Phineas, being the humble genius that he is, just downplays all his credit and lets his sister shine. It's just so beautiful, their siblingship, and I'm just so glad that they're finally winning it. Are they going for the EGOT? We'll see, but certainly the best choice to win. One of the highlights of the night for me. And now we get into screenplay. And for best adapted, the winner went to Sean Hayter for Coda, and that's when I knew. I was like, Coda's winning best picture. There's no doubt about it. And really, I mean, winning over awards frontrunner juggernaut like The Power of the Dog was seemingly no easy feat, but Apple had a really great campaign running for this movie, and I think it shows in all the awards it did win, and this one just, I mean, this was the most moving film. It's the funniest film, extremely witty, but also very, very memorable and heartfelt, even if it was a tad formulaic. But I think it was a deserved win, and I think just really happy to see Sean Hayter get that support she deserved for it. And then for original screenplay, we had Kenneth Branagh for Belfast. I thought Paul Thomas Anderson should have finally won that Oscar, but all things considered, the Academy loves Kenneth Branagh, and really that he came out of nowhere with this after last year's Artemis Fowl to pull an Academy Award win out of thin air. Well, obviously not out of thin air. If you've seen Belfast, you can draw your own conclusions. But I think that his ode to his childhood, obviously it was one of my favorite movies of the year. And I think the writing in that movie is just exceptional. And just the way he places in these poignant little moments throughout the movie that really give it some emotional weight. It's a good choice. Even if it's a bit safe, I still think that it was deserved nonetheless. And now we get to Best Supporting Actress, which I said a while ago it's going to be Ariana DeBose. It was. And just so great to see her speech. It was one of the highlights of the night. And really the first queer woman of color to win an Oscar. So good for her. Really a trailblazer. And this is the third character in history, Anita from West Side Story, to have two people win an Oscar for playing for her. And obviously having Rita Moreno there was just such a beautiful moment. Just seeing that legacy come together in the same room. And you know, obviously she paved the way for Ariana with her performance in the 1961 film, which is just one of the best supporting performances ever in any movie. And obviously the other characters being Vito Corleone, Marlon Brando, and Robert De Niro, and the Joker with Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix. So, you know, it's some lofty company right there, but I think absolutely the most deserved win in the category. So happy for Ariana DeBose, and happy that West Side Story got at least one Oscar. And for Best Supporting Actor, we have Troy Kotsur in Coda. Man, I was so happy for him, especially when Yoo Jung-yoon presented the Oscar to him and read it off and signed, and everybody like applauding for him and signed. It was just such a beautiful moment, and I think the best speech of the entire night, and just talking about how like these deaf acting troops gave him his place so he could pursue the craft, and without them he wouldn't be where he is. And I mean, the first deaf male to win an Academy Award, I mean, that's no easy feat. And obviously the only other deaf actor ever won was Marlee Matlin before him, his co-star and wife in Coda. But I just think that it was just so moving and so touching, and such a big step forward for the deaf community. Absolutely, once again, the most deserving in the entire category, I feel. And really just so happy to see Coda have this transcendence right at the end of award season when it really counts. So really, I'm so happy for Troy Kotsur. Congratulations, sir. And then we have Best Actress for one of my favorite performances of the year, The Eyes of Tammy Faye. A performance that people didn't even think were going to get nominated because that movie came out in October. No one was really talking about, but everyone was saying, oh, Jessica Chastain's great, and yeah, the hair and makeup is great. But it is just so awesome to finally see her win an Academy Award. I mean, this woman has been putting out some incredible work over the past 10 years, like in Zero Dark 30, The Help, Molly's Game, which I think she was snubbed for. I mean, there's so many great performances from her, and so, you know, nice to finally see her win. She's an established name at this point, and everyone loves her. She's such a sweetheart, and it's just so great to see her win for, you know, really her best performance of her career, and I think the best performance in that category by far. And just, yeah, so it was nice to see that kind of not really be talked about the whole awards, because it was a good movie, but it was really her performance you watch it for. And to see her finally get to the finish line and win that Oscar was really one of the best parts of the night. And her speech was very moving too, probably one of the most politically charged, but I think, you know, nonetheless important. And yeah, good for you, Jessica Chastain. I absolutely love you. And for Best Director, we have Jane Campion for The Power of the Dog, which was the only film out of 12 nominations that movie won, and the first time that a film only took home Best Director since The Graduate from Mike Nichols back in 1968, which is kind of crazy to think about that it's been that long. But yeah, Netflix really had the campaign running for that movie, especially for her. And there was no one else who was going to win it, even though I think that there were more deserving nominees. But even so, you know, it's second woman in a row, or first woman in a row, I should say, to win back-to-back with another woman, obviously Chloe Zhao last year for No Man's Land. So that's a statistic for the books right there. A lot of statistics in this Oscars that I think make it very interesting, but especially in this category in particular, I can't really argue it. I think I've been kind of I guess I guess people have kind of been so outspoken about this that my opinion doesn't really matter on it. But it is a very well-made film, so I'll give it to Jane Campion for Best Director. Do you guys keep hearing those sirens in the background? Is there like mad crime going on in my city right now? I don't even know. But anyway, this is something I noticed. Best Picture, the biggest award of the night. And really the best award of the night. I mean, this is the one that people will talk about for years. I mean, people are still talking about how controversial Green Book was to win Best Picture. I still love that movie. Cut me some slack. But this went to Coda, as I said earlier. And this is why I'm so upset that Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, because this film not only is the first Sundance movie to win Best Picture, which is crazy to me because I would have figured at least one by this point would have won. It's the first streaming service to win Best Picture with Apple TV Plus, which, you know, one would have thought Netflix would have gotten it all this time, but no, it was actually Apple to be the first one to break it open. And the first movie with a prominently deaf cast to win. I mean, just having everybody stand up and do the sign clap, it was just such a beautiful moment. And I just think that the fact that this movie won, it was really the underdog of the whole season, just like how Rocky was the underdog, and that ended up winning Best Picture. The same goes for here, and I think the best film, as I've said many times, so I'm just so happy to see it reach all the way to the finish line here. And really, I mean, kudos to Apple's PR team, because they really put all their effort in it. On a measly 3 nominations, not only did it win all 3, but it won the biggest prize of the night with no technical awards at all. It wasn't nominated for Best Director, it wasn't nominated for editing, it wasn't nominated for anything like that. It was just because the story is so memorable and the characters are so great. And I think that shows you that you don't need to have the most technically perfect movie to make an impact. That's why, I mean, yeah, Dune won the most awards of the night, but it didn't get any of the big ones. And I think that says everything in the world as to why everybody loved Coda. It picked up right at the right time, and as soon as I saw it, I did not think it was going to go all the way to Best Picture, but I knew it should have been in contention. So yeah, not the best picture, not the greatest Best Picture winner of the past few years, but I think as far as this year goes, it was absolutely, even though it seemed like a safe choice, it really wasn't. This is such a groundbreaking win on so many levels, and just so glad to see this movie get its due. And I think that people will look back on this and say it was the right choice. Because it's something that everybody can enjoy, something that everybody can be moved by, and sometimes there isn't really much more you need than that, you know, and so I'm just so happy, you know, more than anything that Coda won the big award. I just wish that more people were talking about it. So, you know, I'm not even going to talk about him anymore. Anyway, guys, that's my thoughts on the Oscars. Really, nothing to really complain about awards-wise, besides one thing here and there. But really, just so interesting. It's going to live in infamy. But I think in some ways, you know, hopefully everybody comes out of this okay, and we have a lot to talk about. Because that's the reason people remember this, the Will Smith slap, and not really any of the big achievements, but I hope they do down the road. I hope they remember it for everything it was. And one of the most memorable Oscar nights in history, as Chris Rock stated. But yeah, I mean, that's about it for 2021. I can't wait to see what comes out next year. Obviously, we're getting Damien Chazelle back on the saddle for Babylon and so many other films that I'm beyond excited about. So yeah, guys, what did you think of the Academy Awards? What did you think of the slap? What did you think of the winners? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it all. And yeah, if you disagree with anything I said here, let me know. But yeah, more than anything, if you like what you're watching, smash that like button. Subscribe to this channel. I promise you, now that this video is done, I am going to bring you my final top 10 decade list, and that is the 2010s, and then we will finally be getting into the Nathaniel A. Hart and Johnny Radio list of the top 60 albums of the 60s. Just so beyond excited. Already got the first episode filmed, and I think it turned out great. You guys are really, really going to enjoy that series. So, as always, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.